to another episode of Mindful Drawing. I'm Rooks' Fun, and I'll be your guide here as we enter into a space of meditation through the act of drawing. This week, our word of guidance, our topic to bring into that meditation and to express through our creative outlet, through the pen or the pencil, will be convergence. To look into how our actions, our mindset guide us towards events with either anticipation, stress, resistance, or embrace. And then turn that around and look at the event, a time and a space radiating out, a place of gravity, a place pulling us in, both working together to create some degree of resonance, of harmony, and perhaps a little bit of noise in the dissonance and complexity. All that said, it's a time to draw, to have a little fun, to listen to yourself and to guide with your hand and your eye, as well as your breath and your internal rhythms in a practice of creativity, relaxation, and expression. You just need a pen or pencil and a pad of paper or something to draw with. We'll do a quick warm-up for a minute just to establish a technique and get ourselves set in our space. And then we'll enter into a longer 25-minute exercise on mindful drawing. So wherever you are, gather yourself, establish your space, and let's draw together. Today, our concept or word of kind of meditation through the drawing could be around convergence, the many things coming together into maybe one idea or one element that is guiding us. And to begin, we'll just practice a few lines and breaths on a piece of scratch paper, the note card or page in the sketchbook in the corner, of visualizing somewhere on that page a center. You can give yourself a dot if it helps, or just try to hold it in the eye and the mind. And towards that center, finding areas around, somewhere to begin, and draw a light line pointing generally towards that center. And take a breath in, find another place orbiting around to begin. Again, a short line as you breathe out, kind of with a normal, natural rhythm of the breath. These short strokes entering in and just beginning to point, to suggest a little bit of that convergence. And as we do this in a longer exercise, the center may be a little further away, the area a little larger. We'll explore the fuzziness of that point of convergence. You'll be able to experiment with the directness or indirectness that comes just from visualizing the center, starting from a place outside and reaching towards that inner point, never quite reaching it, but through the constellation of recorded actions, recorded approaches, gradually giving it shape. And as a technique, that will be our guide there. I think after we explore it for a while, we may expand out and look at ways of connecting and just drawing into the space, but that's our good starting point. I'll go ahead and jump to my larger page, take just a moment before starting to roll the shoulders a little bit, to take a few breaths and clear out any tightness or cramps, or just find any kinks or spaces as you settle your feet comfortably on the ground, your seat comfortably in the chair. and find that central point of convergence. Again, a small dot or something if it helps, or just beginning to place a mark somewhere in the orbit, a sense for the space of the page, maybe by moving the hand. Taking a breath in and finding that first point of engagement and letting it flow out, directing back towards that center. On the breath in, orbiting to a place, and letting it exhale out towards that loose moment of convergence. Continuing to breathe and draw for a little bit at your own pace, perhaps incorporating some other motion in between the filling of the lungs, the hold at location, and the exhale towards that central area. And because these are a general pointing, it may provide a few neighbors. Let the fuzziness of the central location converge through some density, both at the outer rim of our orbit, but also gathering towards that central space. And that takes up a little bit of the space and play in that exhale as we have some room at the end of the breath, perhaps, to draw a couple more lines. If your breath works with just one clean exhale, continue on that path, finding some rhythm in that space. You begin to work a little play into the inner and outer orbits. Some moving in from afar, others almost there, tightening up the space around that center holding position of the page. And use a few breaths to begin to meditate through your motion, through your action of the drawing, on what these lines can pull with them. Perhaps draw from your experiences of the day or the week. What actions might be at play internally or around you that guide towards a moment, guide towards a convergence of your agency, of your potential engagement with a problem, a challenge, a creative expression, an event, excitement or opportunity, and how we engage many things around us with a few guiding bits of our anticipation, of our incitement, of our stress, many things coming, converging towards a moment in time, towards a condition of space. And maybe some of the lines carry with them a representation of an aspect leading up to a thing to do. Either giving it some space to form, or if it's something in resistance to that convergence, a space to align, a space to soften out with the breath, a little room to let it go and become part of the flow, converging towards. And as the page may begin to fill and create a density around that empty, slowly defining moment, we can see the inward reach in our action of drawing, bringing some attention to that mark moving towards, a difference in its starting on the page and its ending, or finding practice in working with consistency. I'm enjoying a little loose end, a little flip towards, to keep the engagement a little softer. And the space becomes a bit tighter, perhaps the trajectories begin to curve or maneuver around the neighbors. With a good amount of page coalescing at center, coming closer and closer, we can take a change in our perception, a looking at or rewiring around that space, taking the convergence towards and using or drawing here the meditation on it to flip it into an expanding from both directions working together kind of fluidly. Engage with that by finding points at the ends, beginning or end of lines, to begin to connect around general orbits, loose shapes that might start and meander along the points defined by the lines, weaving a little in and out. Bringing our attention to the direction that our eyes and our hand begin to read the drawing. Are you moving clockwise or counterclockwise? Are you connecting starts or ends of the line segments? And spending some time in a consistent space with that. For me, tracking starting segments in these different orbits for now, and then maybe we'll have some time to reverse and track from the outside in, occupying a bit of that space of oscillation. The waves moving towards and from. And letting the line have its wobble and meander between key points, them just being a guide for tracking, letting our eyes and hands play through the space we've created. And things can overlap, repeat into the space. Sometimes bring the outer orbits in to meet the inner realms. Perhaps a wandering around for some time. For returning out to complete a ring. And if you've been working in one primary direction, we can begin to change that up, just create new pattern or influence. I'm going to switch to working with the original starting points of the lines, the more defined points, and shifting from a clockwise to a counterclockwise motion for myself. But anyway, to keep re-engaging the eye and the hand to track through this increasingly complex territory of points and lines, past recorded actions, and new potential figures. A chance to enter into a space of awareness of how we might read complexity. For me, it brings some anticipation, even a little bit of internal discomfort around where's the next connection going to be, and doing a little inner work through the breath to soften that need to find the exactness, to let the pen wobble for a little while in its search. The point's just a guide. Maybe even leaving them behind, transitioning from an outer ring to an inner ring, or just adding a few more rays and lines to wander through. Center still forming gradually there. But the field becoming increasingly complex, perhaps introducing some oscillations from inner to outer moments. And wherever the eye guides the hand, as we start to lose track of beginning and end, of starting or stopping, and just have some freedom to move through the territory. Perhaps folding in a few hiding remaining lines, lost in the sea of complexity. Refining our visual reading and acuity to hit those last few open points, to fold them in to our motion. And as the territory coalesces, both the convergence of the rays and the expansion of the waves working together, in and out, as part of the rhythm and the noise here of the exploration. And you begin to look, to open the eyes in another way, to find intensification, perhaps in small regions where the waves bound the rays, letting them offset and thicken to make surface or shape ribbons emerging around, just having a few minutes to quietly explore and draw ways of intensifying the two worlds at play, the expanding waves and the converging rays. As you draw in this time of just internal expression, finding and emphasizing, and an emerging of pattern or influence that you might see, bring your kind of final attention in the practice to the places where you feel the urge to rush, to bring that idea into its defined center. Try to breathe into that space, allowing a little bit of softness and evenness to the movement, letting the convergence and emerging forms express on the page at the pace of relaxation, of openness, let you adapt, find, and move freely without a rush to complete. Each mark adding density, slowly refining that definition of space around, of closing in or coming towards something, whether that's an idea, a visual metaphor recognized in the pattern, or a collection of continuous technique, mapping out complexity, giving it shape, so we can draw from it, navigate through it, and trust its convergence towards something for us. And in the next few areas of exploration, beginning to close the practice out with our breath, a re-attention, with awareness, breathing in, filling the space of the lungs, letting it just drop heavily out in that space of relaxation, of continued repetitive movement of the hand. The two different rhythms, one of action and one of support, the regular of our breathing and the regular of the technique we've developed and practiced in this time. Not necessarily connected in tempo, but converging in their resonance. One supporting, perhaps one guiding. And just a few more breaths at whatever pace feels comfortable and reinforces relaxation in these moments of creative practice. Lets any stress of completion drift out, so we know time might be approaching an end, but the energy and practice and ideas that bubble up in this time continue on through our day, through our engagement, and our mindfulness of how we work with anything with creativity and a little patience. As we return back into our space, we can use that time of practice, of engaging with the body, engaging with the imagination, engaging with the paper, that external element, to work through an idea, to see if it holds anything for us, and to follow it through the expression, the creativity of the drawing act, into a new space that we can merge with it to find that resonating wave and converging rays that might be around any topic we're working on today, or maybe just a drawing that comes out of a few minutes of playing and practicing our mindfulness techniques. And if you enjoy this exercise or something like it, I encourage you to practice on your own, taking a word that may be coming up, a concept that is a part of where you are, things like convergence, witness, surrender, acceptance, or even ideas that guide us, hope, love, openness, flexibility, and just starting with them in the mind, and seeing where a few marks, light lines, wisps on the page, continuous shapes might guide you. And if you want a little bit more guidance in the practice, feel free to check out many of the other videos on mindful drawing and give it a thumbs up below and some comments about where these things take you as you engage with your own creative mindful practice. I thank you for joining and hope you have a wonderful week wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Draw well. This is Works is Fun, signing off. Thank you.